When you feel like you have reached the end of your strength, remember that I have not reached the end of mine. I know there are moments when your heart becomes tired in ways no one around you can see. You wake up and try to continue, but something inside you feels heavy. You smile when people are watching, yet when you are alone, questions begin to rise within you. You wonder how much longer you can keep going. You wonder why the answer has not come. You wonder why the burden feels so heavy when you have already prayed so many times. But listen to me now. Your strength was never meant to come only from what you can produce by yourself. You were never created to carry every fear alone, solve every problem alone, or understand every step before taking it. The secret to becoming strong is not that you will never feel weak. The secret is learning where to turn when weakness comes. Look at the moments when fear tries to convince you that you are alone. Look at the circumstances that seem too large for you. I am still present. I have not stepped away because the storm became louder. I have not abandoned you because the road became difficult. I have not changed because your emotions have changed. Even when your hands feel empty, I remain faithful. Even when you cannot see the next step, I can see the entire path. Trust me when you do not understand. This is where many hearts become weary. They believe they can trust me only when everything makes sense. They want to see the answer before they surrender the question. They want to know the outcome before they take the step of faith. But I am calling you deeper. I am calling you to trust me not only in the places where you feel safe, but also in the places where you feel uncertain. There will be moments when the answer does not arrive as quickly as you hoped. There will be doors that remain closed. There will be seasons when you cannot understand why something happened. Do not let confusion become the ruler of your faith. What you do not understand today does not mean that I have lost control tomorrow. My wisdom is greater than the moment you are standing in. When Jesus walked through the wilderness and faced temptation, he showed that strength is not found in satisfying every immediate desire. In a moment of physical weakness, he remained anchored in the truth of God. He did not allow hunger to determine his obedience. He did not allow pressure to control his response. And this is a lesson for you as well. When you are vulnerable, do not allow fear to tell you who you are. Do not allow desperation to make every decision for you. Return to the truth. Return to prayer. Return to trust. Sometimes the greatest battle is not the battle happening around you. Sometimes the greatest battle is the voice within you that says, I cannot do this anymore. When that voice comes, do not answer it with panic. Bring your weakness to me. Tell me the truth about your pain. You do not need to pretend before me. I already know what is in your heart. I know where you are tired. I know what you are afraid to say. I know the prayer you have repeated without seeing the answer you expected. And still, I say to you, do not give up. Trusting me does not mean you will always understand my timing. It means you will believe that my wisdom is greater than your limited view. It means you will stop demanding that every road explain itself before you walk upon it. It means you will place what you cannot control into hands that are greater than your own. My child, there are burdens you keep carrying because you believe everything depends on you. You replay conversations. You imagine every possible outcome. You try to control what other people think, what tomorrow will bring, and how every problem will end. But you are exhausting yourself by carrying responsibilities that were never placed in your hands. There is a difference between being responsible and trying to become God over every circumstance. Do what you can with faithfulness, but release what you cannot control. This is where prayer becomes your strength. Do not wait until your life is completely falling apart before you speak with me. Speak with me when the day is peaceful. Speak with me when you are making decisions. Speak with me when you feel grateful. Speak with me when you feel afraid. Prayer is not meant to be only an emergency door that you open when everything else has failed. Prayer is your connection with me. It is where your heart learns to rest even before the circumstances change. Remember the garden before the cross. Jesus knew that suffering was near. He did not pretend that the path ahead was easy. He brought his anguish before the Father. He prayed. He returned to prayer. And through surrender, he found the strength to continue. You may also have a garden season, a place where your heart is wrestling with what lies ahead. Perhaps you know a difficult decision is coming. Perhaps you are facing a loss. Perhaps you are waiting for something that seems impossible. Perhaps you are carrying pain that you cannot explain to anyone. Do not run away from me in that moment. Come closer. Pray even when the words are simple. Pray when all you can say is, "Help me." Pray when your heart is full. Pray when your mind is restless. Pray when you do not know what to do next. You do not have to create perfect sentences for me to hear you. I listen to the heart that honestly seeks me. Sometimes your prayer will be full of praise. Sometimes it will be full of questions. Sometimes tears will become the only language you have. But stay connected to me. If these words are touching your heart, type, "I will trust God," in the comments as a simple declaration of faith. Let your own words remind you that fear will not have the final voice. There is also strength that comes when you stop living only for yourself and begin looking for ways to serve others. The world may tell you that strength means always being above someone else, always being recognized, always protecting your own interests. But Jesus showed another way. He served, he humbled himself, he cared for people, he washed the feet of his disciples. This was not weakness, it was strength rooted in love. When you serve someone with a sincere heart, something changes within you. Your pain may still exist, but your heart remembers that you can still bring light into another person's darkness. You may be going through a difficult season, yet you can still encourage someone. You may feel tired, yet you can still offer kindness. You may not have every answer, yet you can still listen, pray, help, and love. Do not underestimate the healing that can come through doing good. There are times when serving another person will remind you that your life still has purpose. A kind word may lift someone who was close to giving up. A prayer may comfort a heart that feels forgotten. A simple act of generosity may become an answer to someone else's need. You do not always need a large platform to serve. Begin where you are. Love the person in front of you. Help when you can. Do good without needing applause. And do not become discouraged when your goodness is not immediately recognized. Not every act of love will receive a public reward. Not every sacrifice will be understood. But do not allow the absence of recognition to steal the joy of obedience. What is done with a sincere heart is never meaningless before God. As you continue through this message, stay until the end, because I want you to understand how faith, forgiveness, and surrender can change the way you face the battles ahead. These are not distant spiritual ideas meant only for someone else. They are truths you can begin applying in your own life today. When fear comes, trust me. When your heart becomes heavy, pray. When you feel lost in yourself, serve with love. When you do not understand the road, keep walking with faith. You do not become resilient because life never shakes you. You become resilient when the shaking does not destroy the foundation beneath you. Build your life on trust. Return to prayer. Allow love to move you beyond yourself. One day at a time, one prayer at a time, one faithful step at a time. You are not required to see the entire journey tonight. You are only called to remain faithful in the step before you. And as you place that step in my hands, you will begin to discover a strength that does not come from perfect circumstances. It comes from knowing that you do not walk alone. If you feel happy with my words and they have brought peace to your heart, like this message, subscribe for more faith-filled encouragement and share it with someone who needs strength today. And if you want to support my ministry so more hearts can receive these messages of hope, you can use the link given below. Stay with me, because there is still more truth ahead that can help you rise above fear and live with a stronger heart. When the storm around you becomes louder than the faith within you, do not forget that I am still with you in the boat. There are moments when everything around you seems to be moving in the wrong direction. You try to remain calm, but the waves keep rising. You pray, but the answer seems delayed. You trust, but another unexpected problem appears. And suddenly, fear begins asking questions that faith had already answered. What if this does not work? What if I lose everything? What if God does not come through? Listen carefully to me. A difficult season does not mean that I have disappeared from your life. A storm is not proof that I have abandoned you. The presence of trouble does not cancel the presence of God. When Jesus and his disciples crossed the sea, a powerful storm arose. The disciples saw the waves. They felt the danger. They believed they were about to sink, but Jesus was still there. The storm was real, but so was his presence. And this is what I want you to remember when fear enters your life. Do not allow what you see around you to become greater than the one who is with you. Faith does not always remove the storm immediately. Sometimes faith teaches you how to remain standing while the storm is still speaking. You have spent too much time believing that peace can exist only after every problem is solved. But the peace I give is deeper than perfect circumstances. You can have questions and still have faith. You can feel afraid and still choose to trust. You can cry and still believe that I am near. Faith is not pretending that pain does not exist. Faith is refusing to believe that pain has the final word. There are storms you cannot control. There are changes you did not choose. There are losses you did not expect. There are moments when you will look at your life and wonder how you arrived in such a difficult place. When that happens, do not build your future around your fear. Return your attention to me. Peter began walking on the water because his eyes were fixed on Jesus. But when he became consumed by the wind and waves, fear entered his heart and he began to sink. Understand this truth. The circumstances around you may be real, but they do not have to control the condition of your heart. When you stare only at the problem becomes larger in your mind. When you remember who is guiding you, courage begins to rise again. You may not be able to stop every storm, but you can decide where you will place your focus. Look to me when the future feels uncertain. Look to me when people disappoint you. Look to me when your plans suddenly change. Look to me when your strength feels small. Even faith as small as a seed can become powerful when it is placed in God. Do not wait until you feel like a spiritual giant before you trust me. Bring me the faith you have today. If all you have is a small hope, bring it. If all you can offer is one simple prayer, bring it. If you are holding on with trembling hands, keep holding on. I do not ask you to manufacture a perfect faith before coming to me. Come as you are, and let your trust grow as you walk with me. Remember the woman who had suffered for many years and believed that simply reaching Jesus could change her situation. She had faced disappointment. She had endured pain. Yet she did not allow her long season of suffering to destroy her hope. She kept moving toward faith. Sometimes your miracle begins with a decision to keep moving toward me even after life has disappointed you. Do not let yesterday's unanswered questions become today's prison. Do not say, I will never trust again because I was hurt. Do not say, I will never hope again because something failed. Do not say, God cannot help me because my problem has lasted too long. Your past pain is not greater than my power. Your long waiting is not greater than my wisdom. Your present weakness is not greater than my strength. If you still believe that God can work even in a difficult season, type, I still have faith in the comments. Let that declaration rise from your heart. Sometimes you need to speak truth before you can fully see the evidence of it. But faith is not only something you hold during personal struggles. True faith changes the way you treat other people. When you believe in my love, you begin to understand that your life is not centered only on your own needs. You begin to see the pain of others with compassion. You begin to serve not because you want praise, but because love has changed your heart. Jesus showed this through his life. He came to serve. He cared for people who could not repay him. He fed those who were hungry. He comforted those who were hurting. He humbled himself before his disciples. This is one of the great secrets of spiritual strength. When you serve with love, you become less controlled by the constant demand to be seen, rewarded, or celebrated. There is freedom in doing good when no one applauds you. There is strength in loving when you receive nothing in return. There is purpose in helping someone when your own life is not yet perfect. Perhaps you are waiting for your life to become easier before you help someone else. Perhaps you think you must first solve every problem before you can encourage another heart. But you can serve even in a difficult season. You can pray for someone while you're waiting for your own answer. You can offer kindness while you're carrying your own pain. You can listen to someone who feels alone even when you understand loneliness yourself. Your struggle does not make your life useless. Sometimes, the very place where you have suffered becomes the place from which you learn compassion. When you have known disappointment, you may better understand someone who is discouraged. When you have walked through grief, you may recognize pain in another person's eyes. When you have experienced fear, you may become a source of courage for someone else. Do not waste the lessons of the season you are walking through. Allow me to shape your heart. Allow your pain to become compassion instead of bitterness. Allow your trials to teach you how to serve with deeper love. And while you serve, guard your heart from pride. Do not use goodness as a way to prove that you are better than someone else. Do not serve only when people are watching. Do not give only when you expect something in return. Let love be your reason. There are acts of kindness that no one will ever know about. There are prayers you will pray in secret. There are people you will help who may never thank you. There are sacrifices that will never become a public testimony. But nothing done with genuine love is wasted before me. Continue to do good. Continue to love. Continue to serve. Do not allow the lack of recognition to make you cold. And do not forget that serving others can also reveal what is happening within your own heart. When you serve someone who is difficult to love, you discover whether your kindness depends only on comfort. When you give without receiving, you discover whether your heart is seeking approval. When you help someone who cannot help you, you learn the freedom of loving without keeping score. This kind of love requires strength. It requires faith. It requires surrender. You may think resilience means becoming hard so that no one can hurt you. But I am teaching you another way. True spiritual resilience does not always make the heart harder. Sometimes it makes the heart stronger while keeping it tender. You can become wiser without becoming bitter. You can learn boundaries without losing compassion. You can remember what happened without allowing resentment to rule you. This is important because the next part of your journey requires forgiveness. There are people whose actions wounded you deeply. There are memories you still carry. Perhaps someone betrayed your trust. Perhaps someone spoke words that changed the way you saw yourself. Perhaps you gave love and received rejection. Perhaps you have been waiting for an apology that has never come. Forgiveness does not mean pretending the wound never existed. Forgiveness does not mean calling evil good. Forgiveness does not mean you must trust an unsafe person again, but forgiveness means you stop allowing another person's offense to control your entire heart. You were not created to live chained to bitterness. Resentment can become a burden you carry long after the person who hurt you has moved on. Anger can become a voice that shapes every relationship. Revenge can become a desire that steals your peace. But when you bring your hurt before me, I can begin the process of freeing you. Jesus forgave even in the place of deepest suffering. This does not mean the injustice was not real. It means love was stronger than the desire for revenge. Forgiveness is not weakness. It takes strength to release what your wounded heart wants to hold. You may need to forgive more than once in your thoughts. You may have to bring the same pain to me repeatedly until your heart becomes free. Do not become discouraged by the process. Healing is sometimes a journey. Continue to surrender the bitterness. Continue to ask me to change your heart. Continue to choose freedom. If you are ready to stop carrying the weight of resentment, comment, "I choose freedom," below. Do not make it an empty phrase. Let it become a prayer. Ask me to show you what you are still holding and where your heart needs healing. Stay with this message until the end, because the final truths will help you understand how surrendering to my will can give you strength when life does not follow your plans. You do not need to master every lesson in one day. Begin where you are. Today, choose faith over fear. Choose focus over panic. Choose service over selfishness. Choose compassion over bitterness. Choose freedom over resentment. Your heart may still be healing, but healing can begin today. Your circumstances may still be difficult, but faith can begin today. Your questions may remain, but trust can begin today. I am not asking you to become perfect overnight. I am asking you to keep walking with me. The storm may still be present, but you are not alone in it. The wound may still be healing, but you do not have to carry it forever. The future may still be unclear, but you do not need to see everything to take the next faithful step. If this message strengthened your faith, type Amen as your declaration that you will keep walking with God through every storm. and continue to the next part, because there is a deeper freedom waiting for the heart that learns to forgive, surrender, and trust God, even when the path ahead is not the one it expected. The pain you keep carrying was never meant to become your identity. There are wounds in your heart that you have learned to hide. Some people do not know how deeply you were hurt because you learned how to continue while carrying the weight inside you. You kept going, you showed up, you smiled when necessary. But beneath the surface, there may still be memories that return when you least expect them. There may be words spoken against you that you still hear in quiet moments. There may be betrayal that changed the way you trust people. There may be disappointment that made your heart cautious. And there may be someone you believe you can never forgive. But listen to me carefully. I am not asking you to pretend that the wound was small. I am not asking you to call wrong things right. I am not asking you to deny your pain. I know what happened. I know what was said. I know what was taken from you. I saw every moment when you cried alone and wondered why someone could hurt you so deeply. Yet I do not want the pain of yesterday to become the prison of your tomorrow. Forgiveness is one of the greatest acts of spiritual strength. The world may tell you that strength means holding on until the person who hurt you pays for what they did. Your wounded heart may tell you that releasing them means they have won. But forgiveness is not surrendering justice. Forgiveness is surrendering revenge into hands greater than your own. You do not have to carry the responsibility of making every person pay you back for every wound they caused. Some debts belong to me. Some judgments belong to me. Some battles are not yours to fight. When you refuse to forgive, you may believe you are holding someone else captive, but often it is your own heart that remains bound. Resentment demands your attention. Bitterness changes the way you see people. Anger keeps reopening a wound that was meant to heal. And little by little, the offense of another person begins to influence parts of your life that were never meant to belong to it. I want to free you from that weight. Jesus showed forgiveness in the place of deepest suffering. Even while facing cruelty and injustice, he chose not to allow hatred to rule his heart. This does not mean that what happened was acceptable. It means that love was stronger than the desire for revenge. And when you choose forgiveness, you are not saying that the offense did not matter. You are saying that the offense will not control your future forever. Forgiveness is not always a single emotional moment. Sometimes it begins as a decision. Sometimes you will need to repeat that decision. Sometimes the memory will return and you will have to bring it to me again. Sometimes you will forgive before you feel completely free. Do not think your process has failed because healing takes time. Continue bringing your heart to me. Continue saying, God, I release what I cannot carry. Continue asking me to remove the poison of resentment before it becomes part of who you are. Remember that forgiveness does not require you to forget wisdom. You can forgive and still recognize that someone is not safe. You can release bitterness and still create healthy boundaries. Jesus gave one of the clearest examples of surrender in the garden. He knew the suffering that was ahead. He did not pretend that the cup was easy to accept. He brought his desire honestly before the Father, but he ultimately surrendered to the greater will of God. This is true strength. Strength is not always forcing your own plan to happen. Sometimes, strength is bowing your heart and saying, I do not understand this, but I will not stop trusting you. There are things in your life that you may never fully understand while you are walking through them. You may ask why a prayer was not answered in the way you expected. You may wonder why the waiting became so long. You may question why one path ended when you were certain it was the right one. Do not allow unanswered questions to become an excuse to abandon faith. Remember this. Forgive so your heart can become free. Surrender so your soul can rest. Wait without believing you have been forgotten. Trust even when you cannot understand. The life I am building in you is deeper than temporary circumstances. I am teaching you how to stand without becoming proud, how to remain tender without becoming weak, how to trust without seeing everything, and how to continue when you feel tired. Your pain is not your identity. Your disappointment is not your destiny. Your waiting is not evidence that you have been abandoned. Continue walking with me. There is strength ahead. There is peace ahead. There is freedom ahead. And one faithful step at a time, you will discover that the hardest season did not destroy you. It taught you where your true strength comes from. When you stop fighting for control over everything, you finally begin to discover the strength that comes from resting in me. There is a reason your heart becomes exhausted when you try to control every outcome. You were never created to carry the weight of tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. You were never meant to know every answer before taking the next step. You were never asked to hold the future in your hands. That burden belongs to me. Yet many of you are tired because your mind never stops running. You think about what could happen. You imagine what might go wrong. You replay what should have happened differently. You worry about people, money, relationships, health, opportunities, and the future. You carry tomorrow into today, and then you wonder why your heart has no rest. Listen to me now. You do not become stronger by carrying everything at once. You become stronger when you learn what to release. There is wisdom in planning, but there is no peace in believing that you must control every result. There is wisdom in preparing, but there is no freedom in trying to predict every future problem. There is wisdom in taking responsibility, but there is exhaustion in carrying responsibilities that belong to God alone. Release what you cannot control. This does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you stop working. It does not mean you stop making wise decisions. It means you stop allowing fear to sit on the throne of your mind. There are things you can do today, and there are things only I can do. Learn the difference. You can pray, but you cannot force another person's heart to change. You can work faithfully, but you cannot control every opportunity. You can love someone, but you cannot make them love you in return. You can make wise plans, but you cannot command every door to open. You can take the next step, but you cannot see the entire journey from where you are standing. Do your part with faithfulness, and trust me with what is beyond your reach. This is one of the ways your heart becomes resilient. Resilience is not trying harder to control life. Resilience is learning how to bend without breaking, because your trust is not rooted in circumstances alone. When one plan changes, you do not lose all hope. When one door closes, you do not believe your purpose has ended. When one relationship disappoints you, you do not allow that pain to define every future relationship. You learn, you grow, you continue, and you trust that I am still able to guide your steps. There will be moments when your life feels like a storm you did not choose. You may not understand why certain things happened. You may look back and wish you could change the past. But you cannot build a peaceful future by constantly living in a battle with what has already happened. Some things must be accepted before they can be released. Accepting does not mean approving. Accepting does not mean pretending the pain was good. Accepting means acknowledging that this is where you are now and choosing to move forward with me. There are people listening to this message who are still emotionally living in a moment that ended years ago. You are still arguing with the past in your mind. You are still imagining the conversation you wish had happened. You are still waiting for a different ending to something that is already over. But I am calling you forward. You cannot receive peace while your heart refuses to leave the prison of yesterday. Bring me the memory. When you finally understand where your strength comes from, you will stop being afraid of every season that tries to test you. You have spent enough time believing that strength means never crying, never struggling, never feeling afraid, and never needing help. But that is not the strength I am teaching you. True strength is not pretending that the storm does not affect you. True strength is knowing where to turn when the storm comes. It is knowing that when your heart becomes tired, you can pray. When fear rises, you can trust. When bitterness tries to grow, you can forgive. When life feels uncertain, you can surrender. When another person is hurting, you can serve with love. This is how a resilient heart is built. Not in one perfect day, not in one powerful moment, but through repeated choices. Every day you choose where your heart will stand. Every day you choose whether fear will lead you or faith will lead you. Every day you choose whether yesterday's pain will control tomorrow. Every day you choose whether you will carry the burden alone or place it in my hands. This is why I want you to remember everything you have heard. These truths are not meant to become beautiful words that you listen to once and forget. They are meant to become part of the way you live. When you wake up tomorrow and worry tries to enter your mind, trust me. When you face a decision and do not know what to do, pray. When you see someone carrying a burden, serve with love. When life becomes difficult and the stone rises, hold on to faith. When someone has wounded you, begin the journey of forgiveness. When your plans fall apart and the road changes, surrender what you cannot control. These are not 6 separate lessons for 6 separate moments. They belong together. Trust leads you into prayer. Prayer strengthens your faith. Faith gives you courage to continue. Love moves you to serve. Forgiveness frees your heart from bitterness. Surrender allows you to rest when you cannot understand everything. This is how you become strong without becoming hard. This is how you become resilient without becoming proud. This is how you walk through difficulty without allowing difficulty to define you. There will still be days when you feel weak. Do not be ashamed of those days. Weakness can remind you that you need me. Sometimes the moment you stop pretending to be strong is the moment you finally discover a deeper strength. Bring your weakness to me. You do not have to hide it behind a smile. You do not have to compare your journey with someone else's journey. You do not have to believe that everyone else is stronger simply because you cannot see their private battles. Some people around you are also carrying pain you know nothing about. Some are waiting for answers. Some are struggling with fear. Some are trying to forgive. Some are wondering how they will continue. This is why your compassion matters. You never know when a simple act of kindness may become someone's reason to keep going. You never know when your words may reach a heart that feels forgotten. You never know when your prayer for another person may bring comfort in the middle of their hardest day. Do not become so focused on becoming stronger that you forget to become kinder. Strength without love can become cold. Wisdom without compassion can become distant. Faith without service can become something you speak about but never live. I want your faith to move beyond your words. Let it enter your decisions. Let it shape the way you respond. Let it change the way you treat people. Let it influence what you do when no one is watching. When you trust me, live with trust. When you pray, live with greater awareness of my presence. When you believe in love, become a person who loves. When you believe in forgiveness, begin releasing what poisons your heart. When you surrender, stop returning every burden to your own shoulders. You cannot keep giving something to me in prayer and then immediately taking it back through endless worry. If you have placed a burden before me, continue to remind your heart that it is no longer yours to control. This does not mean you will never think about it again. It means that when the fear returns, you know what to do with it. Return it to me, again and again if necessary. When fear says, "What if everything goes wrong?" return to me. When your mind says, "You must figure this out tonight," return to me. When bitterness says, "Do not let them go," return to me. When disappointment says, "There is no reason to hope again," return to me. Prayer is not only something you do when you have enough words. Prayer is where you bring the thoughts that are trying to rule you. Prayer is where you remember that your life is larger than the fear of this moment. If you want to declare that you will keep returning to God instead of surrendering to fear, type "I return to God" in the comments. Let those words become a reminder whenever life tries to pull your heart in another direction. Now listen carefully, because there will be times when trusting me will require patience. You may want the answer now. You may want the healing now. You may want the door to open now. You may want the relationship to change now. You may want to understand why something happened now. But patience is part of resilience. Do not destroy today's peace trying to force tomorrow to arrive. There are things you cannot hurry. A heart takes time to heal. Trust takes time to rebuild. Wisdom takes time to grow. Some prayers are carried through seasons before you understand what was happening during the waiting. Do not confuse waiting with failure. Do not confuse delay with abandonment. Do not confuse a closed door with the end of your purpose. Your life is not measured only by how quickly your circumstances change. There are seasons when the greatest work is happening within you. You are learning patience. You are learning humility. You are learning to depend on me. You are learning that your identity cannot be built only on success, approval, comfort, or control. These lessons may not always feel dramatic, but they are preparing your heart for what comes next. And when the next storm arrives, you will remember that you have survived difficult days before. You will remember that fear did not destroy you. You will remember that waiting did not mean you were forgotten. You will remember that prayer carried you when your own thoughts became too heavy. You will remember that forgiveness began freeing your heart. You will remember that surrender gave you rest when control had exhausted you. You will remember that serving others reminded you that your life still had purpose. And then you will understand that resilience is not the absence of hardship. Resilience is the ability to keep walking with faith when hardship is present. I do not promise you a life in which you will never face another difficult day, but I am calling you to a life in which difficulty does not have to separate you from me. When trouble comes, come closer. When you are confused, come closer. When you are disappointed, come closer. When you have failed, come closer. When you are ashamed, come closer. When you are afraid, come closer. Do not run from me because you feel weak. Run toward me because you know where strength is found. There is no pain you need to hide before me. There is no honest question that scares me away. There is no weakness too great to bring into prayer. There is no dark season that prevents me from meeting you there. You may not understand everything, but you can still trust. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you can still pray. You may have been hurt, but you can still begin forgiving. You may feel tired, but you can still take one faithful step. You may have lost something, but your purpose is not automatically lost with it. You may be waiting, but you are not forgotten. If you agree that your difficult season will not have the final word over your faith, type Amen. I will keep going in the comments. I want you to apply this message when the video ends. Do not simply feel encouraged for a few minutes and then return to the same pattern of fear. When your next worry comes, pause and pray. When anger rises, pause and bring it to me. When you see someone who needs kindness, do not ignore the opportunity. When your plans change, ask for guidance before you surrender to panic. When an old wound returns, choose not to feed bitterness. When you feel weak, do not isolate yourself from my presence. Return, pray, trust, serve, forgive, surrender. These simple actions can change the direction of your heart over time. You do not have to transform your entire life tonight. Begin with the next moment. Begin with the next thought. Begin with the next prayer. Resilience grows when faith becomes a daily practice. And one day, you may look back at the season that once terrified you and realize that I carried you through it one step at a time. You will see that there were days you thought you could not survive, yet you are still here. There were nights when you believed the darkness would never end, yet morning came. There were moments when you thought you had lost your strength, yet strength returned through faith. You were never required to know how the entire journey would end. You only needed to keep walking. My child, if you remember nothing else from this message, remember this. Your strength is not found in pretending that you can control everything. Your strength is found in trusting God when you cannot control everything. It is found in prayer when your heart becomes overwhelmed. It is found in faith when the storm becomes loud. It is found in service when love calls you beyond yourself. It is found in forgiveness when bitterness asks to remain. And it is found in surrender when your own plans cannot give you peace. This is the strength I want to build in you. A strength that does not depend on applause. A strength that does not disappear when circumstances change. A strength that does not become bitter because life was unfair. A strength that can remain tender in a hard world. A strength that can forgive without calling wrong things right. A strength that can wait without believing it has been abandoned. A strength that can pray without seeing an immediate answer. A strength that can keep walking even when the next step is all it can see. So do not fear the future because you cannot see all of it. Do not fear weakness because weakness can teach you where to turn. Do not fear the storm because you do not walk through it alone. Do not fear the waiting because your life still has purpose. Do not fear the changing path because I can still guide your steps. Keep trusting. Keep praying, keep praying, keep believing, keep forgiving, keep surrendering. And when you feel that you cannot continue, remember where your strength comes from. If this message brought peace, strength, or hope into your heart, like this video and subscribe for more faith-filled messages. Share it with someone who may be fighting a silent battle today. If you feel happy with my words and want to support my ministry so that these messages can continue reaching hearts that need encouragement, you can support through the link given below. Do not leave these words behind when this video ends. Carry them into your next morning. Carry them into your next decision. Carry them into your next difficult conversation. Carry them into your next season of waiting. And whenever life asks you where you will find the strength to continue, let your heart answer, I will trust God. I will pray. I will keep faith. I will serve with love. I will forgive. I will surrender. And with every step, I will remember that I am not walking alone.